Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today we have a full review of one of the last Areej Dores in my collection that has not been reviewed on my channel. And the reason we are doing it today is as a tribute to the house of Areej Dore, because today is launch day. They actually launched their classics collection today, which included fragrances like Walima, Chinese Oud, Ottoman Empire, so forth and so on. So it did launch today, and I think it sold out in like 2 minutes. But unfortunately, I could not participate in any of that as I am on a buying hiatus. But I'm very excited for Russian Adam and his new release. And the House of Areej Dore, one of my all-time favorite houses in perfumery, because they really show you facets of ingredients that you're never going to find no matter how high-end you go at your local department store or mall or, something like that, right? They are a true artisanal niche house in every sense of the word, and the releases are very limited. So whenever they do a release, they'll release a batch of perfumes, and once the 200, 300, 400, 500 bottles, however many are made, are sold out, that's it for the whole world, no more of that particular offering. If they do a second one, he always makes sure that you understand this is a different fragrance batch, because when you're working with very niche materials, artisanal materials like real oud, real deer musk, even if you keep the formula exactly the same, something like Atlantic ambergris is a great example of that. He was saying that when there's ambergris in the fragrance, even if you use exactly the same ambergris from one release to the next, because it's actually sat for an extra year or two between releases, it'll smell different. So it's very hard to keep the smell exactly the same from one to the other. And but on the other side of the coin, you get a true, like I said, artisanal experience with this house. And that's why this house has really sort of taken my appreciation of some of these notes to a completely different level, a different plane of understanding. So today, basically the final Areej Dore perfume in my collection that has not been reviewed on my channel. So as a tribute to Russian Adam and the house of Areej Dore, we are going to talk about Russian Musk. Now, Russian Musk is a fragrance that made my top 10 real deer musk fragrance list video. And so there's about four. There's more, I think, Areej fragrances that use awesome musk notes, but the four big ones that most people think about are Siberian Musk, which I've reviewed, Inverno Russo, which I have also reviewed, Musk Love, which I just did a review of within the last couple days, and now Russian Musk. This is the sort of missing link, if you will. And so one thing that I have to say is whenever you buy fragrances from houses like Bortnikov or Areej Dore, they procure their musks through ethically and legal sources, right? So every single year, the Russian government allows a certain amount of tags to be issued to people who live in the Siberian area of Russia and the northern parts of Russia, so Siberia and northern Russia. And they can hunt these deers for their way of life, almost like the Indians used to hunt the buffalo, right? And so part of killing the deer, and it's not just for the musk pod, but part of killing the deer, they use the whole deer, they live off of the deer, they eat the deer, it's part of their way of life up there, is getting the musk pod and actually selling it for some money. And so it's a regulated industry. So when you buy from brands like this, just understand that you are buying something that is, ethically and legally sourced. It's not through a black market, let's say. So that's the first thing. The second thing I should mention about these type of fragrances with real musk is that even going back 100 years ago, many of the houses were not using real musk. So you could go buy old Coty fragrances, you could buy old Guerlains, you could buy fragrances from Caron from the 1930s. There's no real musk in there. There is no real musk. And so this to me is like a blessing from God. It really is. It's like the ability to, the ability to smell real musk is such a blessing and a gift, because so few people nowadays, 99.99% of people who smell fragrances and they read these reviews and they look at the notes and all that stuff, they've never smelled real musk. They've smelled the modern musk molecules, whatever they may be. And it's funny because they have all these names now: white musk, black musk, purple musk, muscadone, There's just a million different types of musk, if you will. I think muscano might actually be a derivative of real musk, but it's still synthetically. It's not like the real deer musk that's in Russian musk. So that's the first thing about this fragrance to sort of mention. Now, I want to read the blurb from the Areej Dore website, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the backstory, because Russian Adam told me a little bit of the backstory of Russian musk, and I think it's worth sharing, because it's actually a great example of what I was saying, of how even with the formula being the same, when the ingredients change, the smell of the fragrance changes. So first, let's read the notes from the Areej Dore website, and then we'll read the little description, and we'll talk a little bit about what I get from it. You can see I put a fairly good-sized dent in this over the last 3 or 6 months. I forget how long I've had this. This is, by the way, I have to give a special thank you to my good friend Hari. Hari has been a godsend, finding me some of these extremely hard to find fragrances. Like, for example, he did it with Russian oud and Russian musk. So shout out to Hari for finding the bottle for me. So here's the notes in the description. So the top notes are fir, lemon, pine tree, bergamot, and mandarin orange. The heart is orange blossom, cinnamon, tonka bean, sandalwood, nutmeg, and cloves. And the base is natural musk, Thailand oud, cypress, amber, oak moss, galbanum, vetiver, rose, and that's like a rose absolute, agarwood, different types of oud, patchouli, and Cambodian oud. Okay, so there's like 3 or 4 different types of oud in here as well. But oud is not the star of the show. In fact, it just works as a skeleton. It's like the spine of the fragrance, if you will. Okay, so that being said, let's read the description. Classical Chypre, full of fresh foresty notes, and that is important, because look at the green sort of label, right? This is definitely a green foresty-like fragrance. So full of foresty notes, driven by furry animalic character with touches of florals and an unmistakable piney Russian feel. Absolutely. Fir, pine, cypressy, foresty feel, 100%. Being our most popular composition, Siberian Musk sold out in a brief couple of months, quickly, rising in the ranks to a modern classic. Today, we are thrilled to share with you Russian Musk, the newest version of the aforementioned formula. This time, we use even higher quality ingredients and added a few choice elements. Crisp, bright, lively top notes of juicy citruses and foresty nuances take one to the virgin land of Siberia, Russia. Fir conveys an airy, uplifting sensation. Bergamot adds a crisp freshness. Lime boosts the aroma with its juicy soul. Mandarin delivers a touch of playful sweetness. And pine ushers in that unmistakable Russian signature to the opening. With time, the composition smoothly flows into the heart notes. And this is a very smooth fragrance, by the way. So we'll get into this further, but one thing I should mention is, you know how I love doing those videos that sort of find a link, that connections videos is what I ended up calling it, right? And so I've done multiple videos where there's like a connection. This fragrance reminds me of this one, so forth and so on. And I've mentioned many times before that when it comes to Siberian Musk, which I have a review of, and I have a comparison video between Siberian Musk 1 and Siberian Musk 2 on my channel as well. And so to me, there is a connection between Siberian Musk by Areej Dore and also Inverno Russo, which is one of those are very close to the top of my all-time favorite musk fragrances, because they sort of use more of the leathery animalic side of the musk. Russian musk and Musk Lav, the two that I've reviewed, I just did a review of Musk Lav within the last week or so. They use more of the smooth, sort of enchanting, soft, powdery side of the musk, which is not my favorite type of musk. But what's very interesting is Adam was telling me that the musk in here is actually much more expensive. It's a higher quality, it's a higher grade than the musk that's used in Siberian musk. And that just goes to show that more expensive does not always account for taste. Doesn't mean something is better just because it's more expensive. For me, I would actually take Siberian musk over Russian musk, although I do think this is a joy to get to know and wear and all that good stuff. But just to keep that in your mind, you know, if you've smelled Musk Lav with that sort of powdery side of the musk, that baby powdery smoothness, right? it's here as well. That's the type of musk that's used in here. And they use the word smoothly flows into the heart, 100%. The musk really makes this fragrance silky smooth. So here, one faces a delightful fusion of the precious hydro and steam distilled neroli, orange blossom. Not many are aware of the fact that neroli varies significantly depending on the origin. Excuse me. In order to present a complete and full three-dimensional view of this beautiful flower, neroli from 4 different countries have been combined. This precious floral bouquet graciously spreads itself out upon the fine blanket of Indian sandalwood. Sweetened by tonka bean and spiced up with rich nutmeg, absolute, clove, and cinnamon, the base of this composition is propelled by fossil amber resin obtained through destructive distillation. Resinous, warm, and slightly smoky, it provides the perfect platform for additional base notes. Oak moss absolute adds to the foresty feel, and tree moss resinoid completely seals this realistic impression. Fine galbanum resinoid delivers a shiny green touch, enhancing the floral notes and connecting them with the deep sylvan base. The depth is achieved with pure agarwood oil from Sri Lanka, Cambodia, Burma, and Thailand. Okay, 4 ouds. Co-distilled by Russian Adam himself. Essential oil of patchouli from Bengal, along with its rare green absolute hailing from Indonesia, bring the herbal, earthy essence to the base. It's further supported by green Indian vetiver, cooling fresh cypress, and its rare blue absolute. The entire structure of this solid base is sweetened by a fine rose absolute extracted by Russian Adam. Deer musk is noticeable throughout the complete life cycle of this composition, but is never overwhelming. It gently whispers furry and slightly animalic accords, complementing and intensifying all surrounding notes. Russian musk is a tribute to the classical chypre style of perfumery composed by Russian Adam with care and love, using some of his own rare distillations and precious extracts. It will suit one who truly loves traditional perfumery and wild vintage compositions. Great description right there, by the way. So let's talk about sort of what I get from it. So the very first thing is I want to share the backstory of Russian musk. Look at the color of the juice, by the way. It's beautiful. I want to share the backstory of Russian musk because Adam told me a little story about it, and actually, very interesting thing. This fragrance was originally composed with the idea in mind to be named Siberian Musk Extreme, or Siberian Musk, I think it was, he said Siberian Musk Extreme. So let's just leave it at that. So imagine what comes to your mind when you think about Siberian Musk Extreme, right? You're thinking about something even heavier and denser and deeper and richer than Siberian musk. But what ended up happening is Russian Adam used all new ingredients. So he said he actually went and bought more expensive ingredients, higher quality, more expensive musks and stuff like that, and higher grade ingredients in Russian musk. But what ended up happening is when it all blended together, a funny thing happened. The musk was actually not more, in your face. It was not sharper. It was not more challenging or anything like that. It ended up being much softer. And that's something that I think surprises a lot of people when they smell these real ingredients from time to time. Like, for example, sandalwood's a great example of this. When they smell real high quality sandalwoods, and there are different varieties and stuff like that, but a lot of times they're shocked by how soft it is, how silky smooth and soft it is. And many times when they're smelling the synthetic alternative, it's much more, it's almost like it rips the inside of your nose out because it's so just, it's just abrasive, if you will, right? The natural is not that at all. And that's what you get from this very softer, more enveloping type of musk, if that makes sense, in Russian musk. And it didn't have the sharp lines and sort of leathery touches like Siberian musk had. And so everything is extremely, when you think about Russian musk, one thing that you should think about is that everything is very classy, very suave, almost respectful, if you will. Like, I would have no problem wearing this to the office. I mean, hell, I'd wear Siberian musk to the office, to be honest, but this would probably be more suitable for an office. Like, if you said, Ramsey, pick one of Russian Adam's musk fragrances to wear to the office, probably this or Musk Love, to be honest with you. Those two, I think, are more professional. They're more respectful to the people around you, and they're classy. They're extremely classy fragrances. Now, that doesn't mean that I like it more. All right, that's the one thing that I have to say. Even though I know that the materials in here are more expensive and all this stuff, I don't care. I still prefer Siberian Musk. This is the one that really has my heart. This is an Inverno Russo as far as the musk side of things go. So, like I said, I actually prefer Siberian Musk hands down, but that backstory is very interesting, I would say. And don't get me wrong, though, I do really like Russian musk as well. It's not that I don't like it. It's just if I was creating a musk fragrance for me, I would want more of the leathery, animalic side of the musk to sort of come forward, if you will. So, now, like I said, it made my top 10 real musk fragrances of all time. And when you first spray the fragrance, and I've got about a 15-20 minute spray here, I just did right before the video. Oh, it's beautiful. So one thing you're going to get is instantly you're going to get that sort of lemony, bergamot, mandarin orange, citrusy top mixed with green notes. And mostly the green note you're going to get, to my nose, is that pine. So imagine like this sort of pine tree. Imagine this lemony, piney green fragrance with that unmistakable, powdery, enveloping musk. It's almost there from the beginning. But in the opening, it almost like yields the floor. You know, it allows the lemon and the citruses to blend with the pine tree, to blend with the fir balsams, to blend with the greener notes like the cypress and stuff like that. It allows that sort of herbal feel, that herbal green lemony feel to sort of take over the fragrance. And it's not invasive. You know, the musk doesn't invade the opening. It's there, but like I said, it's a very respectful musk. This is the musk that went to boarding school, came out a proper gentleman. And it has a little bit of this powdery, enveloping, real musk feel that just cannot be recreated by modern synthetic, even very high quality. I know there's some extremely high, expensive synthetics out there. They can't recreate this. I don't care, no matter how good they are. I don't believe it could ever happen. It is really something to get to experience real deer musk. And I heard someone describe Baikal Gris. I actually have a review of Baikal Gris on the channel by Areej Dore as, imagine standing and looking at the lake, which is the largest landlocked lake in the world, right? And imagine the smell of the forest sort of like blowing, like the wind blowing the foresty smell to you as you're staring and looking at the lake, and you get a little bit of that ambergris and that oceanic vibe, but it's carrying that green Russian forest vibe to your nose from behind you, right? And I'm going to take that imagery from the person who sort of created that, and imagine now, instead of staring at a lake, you're staring at a tamed deer, okay? Or a group of tamed deer. And they let you walk right up to them, right up that you can almost sort of touch their coat. You can feel the bristly coat that they have. You can sort of smell the animalic side of the deer, right? The deer's not taking regular showers. It's in the woods. It's pushing up against bushes, and it's got dirt on it and all this stuff, right? So imagine that the deer is standing there and it's tame, so it allows you to walk right up to it. And so instead of staring at the lake, you're staring at this deer, okay? And then from behind you, the wind brings this Russian forest smell from your back to your nose. And so you are so close to the deer, you can almost like put your face in its fur, right? And you can smell these little details, right? So you can smell things like pine oil. You can smell things like galbanum. You can smell the vetiver, the green, earthy, medicinal aspects of the patchouli. You can smell the oak moss and the cypress, and all of the green notes are sort of coming together. And as the fragrance continues to go to its base, that's really what you're going to get. That lemony top sort of starts to dissipate, which all Chypres have this sort of lemony, bergamot, citrusy top. That's what a proper Chypre fragrance opens up with. And this does exactly that. But as it continues to dry, of course, you would expect those more volatile citrus notes to fly off faster. And that's what happens. And so what's left is this. There's some spices, by the way. If you remember, go back to the note listing. You probably remember me mentioning things like cinnamon and nutmeg and stuff like that. And there's beautiful nutmeg notes in Atlantic ambergris and stuff like that as well. But just imagine this, you know, as the citruses sort of start to die down, the spices start to ramp up, but the green touches in the fragrance never really die down, right? So it's not like, oh, you get some pine in the opening and then it goes away. No, it's truly a green fragrance through and through. This could easily be called Russian Forest, in my opinion. This fragrance could be named Russian Forest because it portrays and paints a beautiful picture of a forest, of what I would imagine a Russian forest to smell like. That fir note, the pine tree note, the cypress. It does a beautiful job, I think, of really portraying this pine dominant, cypress, herbal, medicinal, healing Russian forest with beautiful green touches in and out as well. Very, very green to the core. And the musk is one of the smoothest, silky smooth musk you'll ever smell. I mean, the smoothness of the musk in this, and also musk lave, I'll tell you that. But musk lave has a little bit more of that barbershoppy lavender. There's more sweetness in musk lave. This doesn't have the sweetness of musk lave. That is one thing I will mention. So there is a little bit of sweetness here, but it's coming from that, you know, I think it's coming from the little bit of tonka bean and that rose absolute that's used. There's a little bit of sweetness from that as well. And the musk is just so silky smooth. I mean, silk tie smooth is the way I describe musk lave, and it's the same for Russian musk, but less sweet. This is a less sweet composition that focuses really more on the greener touches, right? So the musks used here, it's very natural smelling. It's furry smelling. It's just like I said, it doesn't have that big time sort of leathery animalic side of the musk that you find in things like Siberian musk. Which if you want to learn more about Siberian musk, you can go check out my review and also my comparison video. But, you know, you think about things like Inverno Russo, Siberian musk, and all this stuff, and what you end up getting with real musk fragrances, whether they lean more leathery and animalic or whether they lean more powdery, is you almost get this, what I call, it's a very hard note to describe, because like I said, it's like a blessing from the Almighty to get to smell something like this because it's so rare. And so limited. And, you know, I asked Russian Adam on one of my live streams, which ingredient are you most concerned about disappearing? And he said real musk. It wasn't oud, because oud can be you know, there can be plantations, but real musk, which is so basically, you know, outlawed in, sorry, I just hit the bottle with my ring, outlawed from most of the world except for Russia. You know, it's you cannot hunt these deers in so you either have a couple choices: use synthetic musk, or you could try to find like vintage musk pods. But my God, is that an expensive endeavor, right? So, but with all of these real musks that I've smelled, they sort of have this what I ended up settling on calling a sweet and sour smell, because there is a little bit of powdery sweetness from the natural musk, but it also gives off this slightly pissy, sour side as well. It's not just sweet, it's also slightly pissy and sour. And like I said last time, imagine the musk pod with some hairs rammed into it, right? Imagine like the musk pod with the deer hair just rammed into it, right? So you get a little bit of the powdery grains on the inside of the pod, but you get that musk deer hair that is coarse and abrasive, and there's a little pissiness to it, right? And I think for the deer to piss, it has to literally go through the musk pod. The urine runs through it. If I'm not a vet, but I'm pretty sure there's, you know, some connection to because the deer uses it as attraction for a mate, right? And they also use it to mark their territory. So whenever they piss, or however they mark their territory, there's a little bit of that pissy side to when you smell real musk as well. Oh, it's beautiful. Masterfully done, masterfully distilled, I would say. The other thing that was masterfully distilled by Russian Adam is the oud in here. Now, the oud, you know, if you've watched some of my live streams with Russian Adam, there's a handful of live streams we've done. If you've never watched them, I would urge you to watch those live streams. They are potentially the most I would say, insightful, educational videos that I've uploaded to my channel. Russian Adam spent a lot of time and was very generous with his time talking to me, and those videos are under either the Areej Dore playlist. There's also an interview playlist that you can check out. But he talked about, starting out as a distiller, then going to a perfumer, and then sort of seeing through his eyes when he went back to distillations through the eyes of a perfumer. So he would make distillations particularly with specific perfumes in mind at that time, right? And so through the eyes of a perfumer, he's seeing these distillations and distilling the ouds in this fragrance. It really makes me think that there was a method to the madness. He was thinking about using it in a composition like this because the ouds here, they don't overpower, they don't overwhelm. You can detect a slight bit of smokiness from the oud, the normal woodiness, but there's also this fruitiness and floral aspect to the oud, and also, of course, a floral aspect from the beautiful Rose Absolute used in here. And if you've smelled something like Papillon Spell 125, which I have a video on if you're interested in learning about, or one I'm going to do a video on very soon, which is Arso by the House of Perfumum Roma. Thank you, Jeff, for sending me this bottle as a gift, by the way. Very, very kind of you. I love Arso. But imagine that, or imagine Fil en Aiguille, right, by Serge Luton. Imagine that sort of piney, smoky fragrance, but imagine that it is done in Russian Adam's hand as a distiller of these natural ingredients with the natural musk and the real ouds and these unbelievable neroli from 4 different countries being combined, and the Rose Absolute and the Cypress and all of this stuff, the amber, the Indian sandalwood and nutmeg and clove and all of this stuff, right? Imagine Russian Adam building a composition that gives it a little bit of that green, piney smokiness, right? But with the real musk, with the real oud. And that's what you basically get in Russian musk to me. It just, to me, this fragrance sort of whispers its intentions to you. You have to listen. You have to quiet your mind and put this on and pay attention and listen, because I think a lot of people may have some misconceptions about real perfume that uses these natural, hard to find ingredients, right? These very rare ingredients. And so this is a blessing to wear. Every single time I get to wear it, it's an absolute blessing. Many of Adam's creations are just a blessing to get to know and wear and stuff like that. And there's still some on the list that I would love to sniff one day. For example, I've never smelled Walima, which was reissued in the new Classics collection. I have yet to smell Koi Noir. That's on my list from the Russian Adam, but there's very few that are honestly left that I have yet to smell. I have not smelled Cuir de Russie. I smelled Grandinia, and I remember not liking it, but that was like 3 years ago. And so I'm very curious to re-smell that and do a video on it. But outside of those 4 I just named, I think I've smelled almost all of them. Almost all of his creations now I have smelled. It's a blessing and a gift to get to really know his work. And, these are fragrances for true connoisseurs. That's the way I look at the House of Areej Dore. Yes, they're limited. Yes, they're hard to find. It's a business model that, you sometimes you just have to, people are going to say, oh, I'll never get to smell the fragrance you're talking about, Ramsey, so what's the point? Sometimes you just have to sort of make a mental note. I want Russian musk, and put it on the list. And, check eBay and all this stuff, or keep in touch with friends, and when someone breaks up a collection, that's your chance to grab it, right? That's the only way to get some of these. Or maybe he'll re-release it. I know he, with the new collection that came out, I mentioned that Ottoman Empire and Chinese oud was there, and Walima and Russian oud, but also they re-released Siberian musk. So there are some people that will get to smell Siberian musk for the first time, hopefully. I would have loved to buy that entire set, but like I said, I can't buy any perfume right now. So we're at about the 30-minute mark. This is enough rambling and ranting. I think I've painted a very good picture of what Russian musk is like. I hope everyone who wants to smell it gets a chance to smell it one day. Do leave a comment below. Let me know. It's kind of a little bit bittersweet for me because it is the final Areej Dore perfume in my collection that now is knocked out, that I have a full review on. And so I'm hoping to do some on one day. Hopefully I get to smell some of the others that I have not smelled, like Walima, Cuir de Russie, like I said, Coe Noir, Grandinia, which I need to sort of revisit. And so, you know, to those of you who have smelled Russian musk, I would love to know your thoughts below. If you got a chance to participate in the new re-release of the Classics collection, let me know what you got. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you got the whole collection, or I think, oh, maybe only the full sets are on order yet. But I love seeing your faces in the comments. I love the support you guys have given me. Love doing these videos for you guys. So thank you everyone who likes and subscribes and all the stuff I never tell you to do because you're smart enough to do it on your own if you really enjoy the content. But yes, I'm very grateful to the people who watch and interact. I love the interaction with you guys. So leave a comment if you've watched the video. Cheers, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.